thanks for joining me for today's practice. This session is going to focus on relieving tension in the lower back and the hips. Now, when you have any kind of generic low back pain, it can be one or two things, oftentimes a combination of both. So, unless you have some kind of specific lumbar spine or any specific diagnosed issue, this generic kind of aching low back can be caused by either tight back muscles, or it can be caused by really tight hip flexors, as the psoas muscles, the largest hip flexor, attaches onto the lumbar spine. And so when those muscles get tight, you have a pulling that causes pain on the lower back. Now, going back to the back body, not only will lower back muscles and back muscles being tight affect the low back, but also having tight hamstrings and tight glutes, which also attach and originate in the lower back, can really cause tightness and tension. So what you have to look for in your own body, when you're aiming to relieve this pain, do you find relief from bending forward? Do you find relief from offering an emphasis on a back bend? Really emphasizing that lumbar bend. That is going to determine where you're experiencing more tension. For me personally, my hips are really tight, so often bending forward is enough to relieve most back pain for me. I'm lucky I don't have too much tightness in the posterior chain. However, like I said, it's not usually one without the other, so this video is going to target both the posterior chain as well as the hip flexors. We're going to begin in child's pose today, starting a little differently, but I thought it would be appropriate. Bringing the feet together, hips will sit back, knees come out nice and wide. We walk the hands out, forehead rests against the mat. This is my favorite pose for relieving tension in the lower back. It's simple, it helps to open the hips as well as elongate the spine. It doesn't put too much pressure on the vertebrae as well. It's very easy to modify. You can add in a few pillows underneath you. This pose is soothing, grounding. You can really connect with your belly as you breathe in child's pose. Notice the belly fill up as you inhale and contract as you exhale. Begin to walk the hands towards the knees. Coming to hero's pose. You can bring the knees in together if that is more comfortable, or kind of keep them out. We'll do a couple of spinal twists and bends for just here. Inhaling the arms up and exhaling over to the right. Left hand reaches over. Still sitting nice and tall even though the position of our legs have changed. Checking in with the spine, making sure you're not hunching forward. Inhale, we lift both arms up and exhale over to the left. Right arm reaches over, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, arms up, and exhale, we twist to the right. Finding a gentle spinal twist. Breathing deep into the belly. I have my right hand tucking back behind me. It's offering a gentle opening to the chest and the shoulder as well. But you can just leave the right hand just on the feet or on the ground behind you. On your next inhale, arms come up, and we exhale, twist to the left, same thing. You can keep the left hand just on the ground, on your foot, or you can tuck the left hand in, kind of resting on the right hip, This will definitely open up that left shoulder, the chest. Check in with the spine. Make sure you're sitting nice and tall. On your next inhale, arms lift up, and exhale, lower them down. Offer the shoulders a few gentle rolls, moving in one direction, pausing at the bottom, and moving in the other direction. Moving into Sphinx pose next. So kind of how it sounds, we're just going to mirror that great Sphinx. We come forward, laying onto the front body. Elbows come to rest underneath the shoulders. A good way to gauge this distance so you're not bringing the elbows too far forward or back is just to hug the forearms in, hug the hands in, kind of pull the elbows in underneath the shoulders and then bring the forearms back out. Shoulders melt away from the ears. There's a gentle bend in the back. Opening through the collarbones, pressing into the feet, pressing into the thighs. Legs are engaged here. The first time I introduced Sphinx pose to you was in a yin video. In that case, most of the body is very relaxed. In this case, we want to have an active Sphinx pose. So we're pressing into the legs, just like you would in Cobra pose. Tops of the feet and thighs press into the ground, knees lift up. Begin to slowly lower the upper body down. Bring the hands to the armpit chest. We're going to move through a few slow vinyasas, starting with upward dog. Lifting up onto the toes. You can stay down in Cobra if that feels better for the lower back. Depends on the type of pain that you're dealing with. Avoid any kind of bend or any pose that takes your pain to an uncomfortable level. I don't want you to be uncomfortable or do any damage. We're just trying to open and create space. From here, we're going to lift up into downward dog. Lifting the hips, press back into the feet, on the balls of the feet, on the toes. Heels don't have to press down, they can stay lifted. Nice and strong through the hands, strong through the arms, not collapsing through the shoulders. You can walk the feet, stretching out the hamstrings, the calves, one foot at a time, bringing the heel towards the mat. And like a wave, on our next inhale, we're going to roll the body forward, lift the hips, round through the spine, coming to plank pose. Nice and strong, and we lower down all the way to the ground. From here we come into Cobra pose or upward dog. Upward dog, you lift up onto the tops of the toes. The legs, thighs, feet, everything is lifted off of the ground. From here, we exhale and send it back to downward dog. Lift the hips, engage those shoulders, nice strong arms. Again, walk the feet. Staying true to the breath. Check in. Where is your inhale? Where is your exhale? Next inhale, we're going to do the same roll, like a wave into plank. We lift up through the hips, round through the spine, come into plank pose, nice and strong. On our next exhale, we lower all the way down. Inhale to upward dog or cobra. Cobra, just keep your legs on the ground, press into the thighs, press into the tops of the feet. On your next exhale, we lift the hips, coming back to downward dog. And that's the basis of a vinyasa. Whenever you hear that term, just know that it is a short series of poses intended to increase the flow of energy through the body. And you see how well those poses flow together. That plank to upward dog to downward dog, it just comes very naturally. From here in our downward dog, we're going to lift up the right leg, balancing here and return it back down to the ground. Keeping the toe pointed towards the ground, we inhale, lift the left leg. Doesn't have to be too high. And then we release back down. You can continue to walk the heels, continue to work the legs here in downward dog. But we are going to lower on down to tabletop, working our way through some cat and some cow. On your next inhale, we'll fill the belly, open through the chest, gaze comes forward, and exhale. Tuck the tail around the spine away, moving to cat pose. Inhale, lifting up, belly drops towards the ground. Exhale, spine pushes away, pushing away from the ground. Head rests between the arms. Inhale, coming back to cow. Exhale, rounding the spine. We'll do this one more time. Inhale to cow. Gazing forward and down. Collarbones, shoulders are wide. There's a bend in the spine. Belly releases. Exhale, stomach contracts, rounding the spine away. Inhale to neutral tabletop, and we'll explore bird dog. This exercise is fantastic for strengthening the spine and the back muscles. So we'll start just by bringing the left hand out, right foot out, getting a feel for this balancing table. Then the option is yours. You can lift both limbs up at the same time. You can lift the foot and then the hand and then the foot. Tuck the core. Engage nice and tight. Don't have to lift up too high. Just testing the core, testing the balance. Really engaging through the back as well. And release. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So start just by walking the right hand out. Left foot is out. Trying to take the weight off of our extended limbs. Really focus in on our core. Focus in on the left hand, right knee firmly planted. And then the choice is yours. Lift both limbs. Lift one limb at a time. Firmly planted and rooted into the ground. And begin to release. Coming into a child's pose, just temporarily taking the hips back, knees nice and wide, arms come out nice and long in front. The spine, the legs, we should be warmed up enough to take our hip flexors stretch a little bit deeper. On your next few breaths, I want you to press into the hands. Gazing forward, press into the feet, lifting the hips back to downward dog. We're going to move into a lunge. So to begin, we'll inhale, bring the left leg up. Yes, I'm going to start with the left leg. As you exhale, bring the left leg in. You can walk the foot forward if you have to. Lower that right knee for balance and support. I do have some cushions nearby. I do encourage you, if you have any kind of knee pain, to use a cushion, as you will have to be driving that knee into the ground. So we're here in a balanced lunge. Now what we want to do is really focus on the hip flexor. It's a super deep muscle. And we do that by checking in with the pelvis. We tuck it in. We really engage this hip flexor. Now I'm next to a wall because if I start to feel like my balance is compromised, I can just stick a hand out and catch myself. I encourage you to do the same. If you have to pause this video, get into position, find a wall, maybe a chair, something to balance, even a couch or a dresser will suffice. Just a little bit of balance here because we're going to lift the right arm. And it's kind of funny how just lifting the arm is really going to engage that hip flexor. I can feel it all the way down, right from the back all the way deep into the hip. And just for giggles, just add in a slight rotation. Again, you're keeping the pelvis forward, keeping this leg driving down. I have my arm out, balanced, supported. Right arm is up, adding a slight twist. Really getting in there. And begin to release, bringing the hands back to the mat. We'll lift the foot back, coming back to downward dog, walk the feet out. Same thing on the other side, moving to the right leg. So we inhale, lift the right leg, and exhale, bring it on through, walk the foot on through, lower that back knee, coming to a nice strong lunge. Now this lunge isn't too deep, it isn't too strenuous. Like I said, you can cushion underneath the knee. Same thing applies for this side. Now I don't have a wall on this side, so if I do feel myself losing my balance, I am just going to lower my left arm. But for the most part, we want to keep the left arm balanced, up nice and tall, and add in that slight twist. So we still have that tuck in the pelvis, left leg is engaged, this rotation is taking this hip flexor isolation to the next level. Finding this stretch changed my life, changed the way I target my hip flexors. And begin to slowly release, hands find the mat, and we'll just take it back to tabletop, giving the hips a little bit of a break, coming to a seated position. Moving into some reclined poses, my favorite, maybe hopefully your favorite. Bringing the right knee in, offering a gentle stretch, gentle roll, and release. Bringing the left knee in, same thing, just a couple of gentle rolls. Moving into a reclined pigeon, starting with the left side. So we're going to walk that left knee in, or right knee rather. The left ankle will catch onto the right knee, kissing here. If this is good for you, stay here. If you want to take this stretch a little deeper, you can just lift up onto the ball of the foot or reach on through. Grab around the thigh with the hands or grab around the shin with your hands. Remember, relax the shoulders, connect with your breath. Focus on the stretch that's happening in the left hip. You can feel this in the glute. Oh, and does it ever feel good? And begin to drop the knees over to the right, coming into a pigeon twist. My right knee is supporting that left foot. I've got my right hand wrapped around my right knee, pressing down on my foot, keeping everything nice and low. You can feel the stretch all the way down the IT band, deep into the hip, into the glutes. Feels so, so good. You can add a bit of a spinal twist here. Take that left arm out. You can gaze over the left shoulder into the palm, making this a full body experience. Begin to release, bringing the legs back to center. Take the left leg out. And we're going to do the same thing on the right side. So bringing the right leg in, ankle finds the left knee. You can stay here if this is good for your hips. You can walk that foot in, lifting up onto the ball of the left foot. Or reach on through, wrap around the thigh, wrap around the shin. Relax through the shoulders and the arms. Relax the neck. Just keeping a firm grip, letting gravity do all the work. Check in with your breath. Make sure those inhales and exhales are flowing at a steady pace. And we'll begin to slowly lower on over to the left side. Not in any rush here, just taking our time. My left hand is supporting the right foot, left knee. You can make this a full body stretch by taking the right arm out. Feeling the stretch deep in the right hip. All the way in the glutes, targeting the TFL, the IT band, all the way down to the knee. You can feel this. If you're really tight, your whole leg definitely will feel this one. And slowly we'll begin to lift back up to center. Bringing both feet to the floor. Moving into a spinal twist, my favorite. Bringing the left knee in and across the body. From here you have a few options. You can take the left arm out nice and long, gaze over the shoulder into the left palm. You can keep the arm tight to the body, resting on the ribs with the gaze up at the ceiling. You can take the arm long overhead. It's totally up to you. Whichever feels best for your body, that's what I need you to do. Focusing on breathing deep into the belly, no matter where you are. Among being very beneficial for the spinal twists are also fantastic for the digestive system. It really helps all the organs to kind of hug together and gives them a little extra support in their function, which is just fantastic. Who doesn't need a little bit of extra digestive help every now and then? Am I right? Am I right? We'll begin to slowly release, bringing the left knee back to center, taking it out nice and long. We'll have the right knee in and do the same thing on the other side. Bringing the right knee across the body. Option is yours here, wherever your arm feels inclined to go. I encourage you to follow. Paired with the breath, this posture is so relaxing, beneficial for the spine, for the digestive system, for the whole nervous system, really. From crown of the head to the tips of our toes. The twist really does encourage us to release, to surrender, to breathe deep, even into the tension. slowly begin to release. Bringing that knee back across the body and taking the right leg out nice and long, coming to Shavasana, final pose. Adjusting as necessary, tucking the shoulder blades, letting the arms splay out, allowing the legs to splay out. Allow the back body to melt into the mat. Take this time to really connect to your breath. You can bring a hand to the lower belly, really focus on filling the belly up, really driving the lungs to expand in all directions as you inhale and exhale, feeling the belly contract, the lungs contract. Really focusing on the breath. As you inhale, filling up the lungs. Exhale. The breath releases steady. Stay here in Shavasana, connecting with your breath for as long as you need. Check in with your spine. Notice how you feel after this practice. If there is a sense of greater awareness surrounding your hips, your back, the connection between the two. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope that this session brings relief from tension. Namaste.